All right, today we're going to unlock a powerful philosophy that has totally transformed industries, everything from manufacturing floors to tech startups. It's called Kaizen, and it's all about the incredible, almost unbelievable power of small, consistent steps. Sounds simple, right? But how can tiny, tiny changes actually lead to huge results? Well, let's dive in and find out.
We're always told that to make a real impact, we have to think big. We've got to launch that massive project, that one disruptive innovation. It's that classic go big or go home mindset, right? It's super high risk, super high reward, and maybe it happens once a year if you're lucky. But what if there's another way? A quieter, steadier, more reliable path to excellence? Well, that's exactly where Kaizen comes in, because it focuses on the small, safe improvements you can make every single day.
Okay, so what is Kaizen really? What is this Japanese concept all about? Let's get right into the philosophy behind these small but incredibly powerful steps. So at its very core, Kaizen is a Japanese word. Kai means change, and Zen means for the better. So put them together and you literally get change for the better. Or, as most of us know it, continuous improvement. It's a really simple idea on the surface, but trust me, how you apply it, that's where things get profound. And here's the part that really makes it so different. Kaizen isn't some big new policy that comes from the top. It's a culture. It's about empowering every single person in an organization. I'm talking from the CEO all the way down to the person on the front lines, to constantly be looking for little ways to make things better every single day. Okay, but to make all this actually work, you need more than just a to-do list, right? You need a whole new mindset. You can think of these principles as like the operating system that runs the whole Kaizen culture. So let's check out the 5 core principles that make it all happen. Yep, there are 5 of them. And look, these aren't just, nice suggestions. They're the absolute foundation. Seriously, without these, the whole philosophy kind of just falls apart. So let's see what they are. So here they are. Know your customer. That's all about creating value. Let it flow. That's where you get ruthless about eliminating waste. Go to Gemba, which means going to where the action is to get the facts. Empower people, unleashing the creativity of your team. And be transparent, so problems have nowhere to hide. Now, each of these is a huge topic, but let's just zoom in on a couple of the most unique ones to really get this mindset. All right, let's start with this one. Go to Gemba. Now, Gemba is the Japanese word for the real place. And this principle is so simple, but it's totally radical. It says, if you want to solve a problem, you don't sit in your office reading reports. No way. You get up and you go to the factory floor, the call center, the shipping dock, wherever the actual work is happening to see reality with your own 2 eyes. And this idea connects perfectly to the let it flow principle. The main goal here is to hunt down and eliminate muda, which is the Japanese term for waste. And when we say waste, we're not just talking about like throwing stuff in the trash. It's anything that doesn't add value to the customer. Things like time spent waiting around, or unnecessary movement of people or parts, or making way more stuff than you need. All right, so we get the philosophy, the mindset. That's cool. But how do you actually do this stuff? How do you put it into practice? Let's shift gears and look at the toolkit that turns this mindset into real-world action. Well, the engine that really drives Kaizen is this simple but super powerful cycle called PDCA. First, you plan, you spot a problem and brainstorm a way to fix it. Then you do. You test your solution, but on a really small scale. Next, you check. You look at the results. Did it actually work? And finally, you act. If it worked, great, you make it the new standard. If it didn't, you loop right back to the planning stage. It's this constant, never-ending loop of getting wetter. Okay, another huge tool in the toolkit is the 5S framework. And look, this is way more than just cleaning up your desk. It's a super smart system for organizing your entire workspace so that waste and problems literally have nowhere to hide. It's 5 steps, and each one builds on the last. Let's run through it quick. First up, seiri, or sort. Get rid of all the junk you don't need, clear the clutter. Then, saitan, set in order. Now everything you do need gets its own special place, so you're not wasting time looking for stuff. After that is seiso, or shine. Keeping the place clean isn't just for looks, it helps you spot problems like leaks or broken equipment. Then, seiketsu, standardize. You create simple, clear rules to keep the first 3 S's going. And last, and this is the hardest one, shitsuke, sustain. This is about building the discipline to make this a habit for everyone, every day. So, PDCA and 5S are awesome for that day-to-day steady improvement. But what about the bigger problems? What happens when you've got something that needs to be fixed, like now, and needs a serious burst of focused energy? That's where something called a Kaizen event or a Kaizen blitz comes in. This is where you grab a diverse team from different departments and lock them in a room for like 3 to 5 days. They focus on one specific problem. They brainstorm, they analyze, and get this, they implement the changes right there on the spot. And by the end of the week, they're presenting their results to management. It's intense. It's a high-impact sprint of improvement. All right, let's start to bring this all home. When you boil it all down, the core message of Kaizen is both incredibly simple and ridiculously powerful. It's all about harnessing the amazing power of compounding, the magic of tiny gains adding up over time. So if you remember one thing, make it this. Kaizen is never about blaming people, it's always about fixing the process. And it taps into this incredible mathematical truth. If you get just 1% better every single day, by the end of the year, you're not 1 or 2 times better, you're over 37 times better. At its heart, it's about respecting every person on your team enough to trust that they have great ideas to make their own work better. And that really brings us to the final, and maybe most important question. A question for you. It's so easy to look at our big goals and huge problems and just feel totally overwhelmed, right? But Kaizen teaches us to ask a different question. So forget the grand 5-year plan for just a second and just ask yourself this. What one tiny 1% improvement can you make right now, today?